You are now watching The Beach.
Oh boy! That Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct was something else. And unfortunately, not all the reasons are good. The thing with recent Nintendo Directs is pretty much all of them, starting with June 2023, I have absolutely loved them. The one in June 2023 that revealed Super Mario Bros. Wonder was wonderful! The best Nintendo Direct since E3 2013. The following September one, amazing. The June 2024 Nintendo Direct, it was great. And even the final Nintendo Switch 1 Direct that revealed Tomodachi Life Living the Dream and Rhythm Heaven Groove, that is the way to end off an era. But with this Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, considering the anticipation for it, and the hype building up to it, the fact that we haven't had a new Nintendo console in almost a decade, the expectations were sky high. But with this Nintendo Direct, I have a lot of thoughts about it. So, without further ado, here's my review of the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. Starting things off, we gotta look at Mario Kart World. First off, the name isn't Mario Kart X. The name isn't even Mario Kart 9. It's Mario Kart World. When I used to do concepts for the 9th Mario Kart game, the name I thought of was Mario Kart World Tour. So I kind of predicted the name. But regardless, oh my goodness. This game looks absolutely outstanding. Considering it's been over a decade without a new Mario Kart, they really had to do something new and push the envelope. And they are certainly doing that here. The roster of characters is insane. You literally had characters like the penguin from Super Mario 64. You have the bee enemy from Super Mario Galaxy. I hope that means Honey Queen's coming back. Even a Goomba is finally playable. It also looks like all the new characters from Mario Kart Tour are coming back. I think you can hear in my voice that I am just so excited. I can't believe it. I honestly cannot believe that Mario Kart World is happening and it looks this good. And it looks this new. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. I'm gonna do a full video about my thoughts on Mario Kart World, but even so, just getting it out there. While Nintendo was talking about the C button, I went back to the trailer to watch it more. I've seen it twice already, so I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it more. But wow. This is exactly what Mario Kart needed, and it is the grand return to Mario Kart that I wanted. And we're getting a Nintendo Direct about it in April. There also seem to be boats and planes very similar to Diddy Kong Racing. I can't wait to see more of the game, and it's not even that far off either. So the wait of over a decade is almost over. If only that could happen to another Nintendo series. After Mario Kart World, Nintendo finally revealed what the C button did. And it doesn't do anything like turn the original Switch into a gamepad. It doesn't do anything crazy like that. It's a voice chat app. It's pretty much exactly what a lot of people were expecting, and Nintendo went in a lot of detail about it. They went on and on about the voice chat thing. And it's like, I get it, the Switch didn't have it, but just watching it, and considering voice chat's been a staple of online, even on the Wii U, it's just like, it's kind of embarrassing to watch. The camera thing's kind of cool, but even so, having the dedicated button to it, it does make sense, but what happens to that button once the servers go down? It's odd having it being a dedicated button, but regardless, we know that there's a camera accessory, and we know exactly what the C button does, and then some, considering just how long Nintendo went on about it, and that'll be a theme throughout this Nintendo Direct. But the camera feature, hey, that could actually mean that Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix has a chance to come to the Switch. After all, those games use a camera.
A rabbit can dream, can't he?
But moving on, we got download playback. Brilliant! I'm surprised it wasn't on the original Switch. This was how you played multiplayer on DS and also some 3DS games. It was definitely more prominent on the DS. This is such a great thing. It's so convenient to just be able to use one game card, and I'm very glad to see it back. However, an issue I'm seeing is that microSD cards are only microSD Express. I'm a little worried this could mean something like the PS Vita where the card is proprietary, and that could cause a lot of issues. Like I said, disclaimer there, because I believe that SD card Express is actually a type of SD card, so there will probably be versions, but as long as it's not Switch 2 exclusive memory cards, all good there. But then Nintendo gets into Switch 2 edition games. We knew they were coming, and what these are enhanced versions of original Switch games. They revealed Nintendo Switch 2 edition versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and also, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and Pokemon Legends Zaza are also getting Nintendo Switch 2 editions. These ones primarily focus on incorporating increased resolutions and frame rates. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond specifically, I gotta say, Mario Kart World looks outstanding, but it really gives it some competition. And seeing Zelda run at 60 frames per second, that is also amazing as well. Although Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, that definitely blew me away. Pokemon, it's at a point now where it looks acceptable to where it's blown out of the toilet. But what I was not expecting is Nintendo Switch 2 edition games to add in new content. The one for Super Mario Party Jamboree looks pretty interesting. Seeing the new content and the mouse features, really cool stuff there. And using the camera, it's kinda cool. You know, with the camera, it kinda reminds me of DSi games. There were things like Photo Dojo where you could use the camera and be in the games. So if we see stuff like that on Nintendo Switch 2, that'd be pretty cool. But I was not expecting Kirby and the Forgotten Land to get a Switch 2 edition. Not only does it have 60 frames per second, but also some new content. Considering it's one of my favorite Nintendo Switch games, seeing it get a Switch 2 edition is excellent news. And I am so excited for it. The only thing I'm wondering is how much will these upgrades cost? Because I have all these games on the Nintendo Switch. I'm really hoping that the price is reasonable. If it's somewhere around $10, I would love that. But I'm expecting more along the lines of 20, and if it's 20, I think that's fair enough. But regardless, I hope that Nintendo doesn't rely on these like they relied on Wii U ports for the Nintendo Switch. It's good to have them, but you also gotta have the new games. And the next new game was something interesting. They revealed a game that completely takes advantage of the mouse, being Drag and Drive. It's kind of like Rocket League, but for basketball. Unfortunately, from what we saw, the game looks very light, and it doesn't seem to have much character to it. The characters look the same, the setting looked kind of boring. Unfortunately, this is a game that I could just see coming and going. It's not even like ARMS where that's still left an impact and definitely could benefit from a sequel. This just looks so mediocre. The idea is cool, but it lacks that Nintendo love, charm, and passion. And that was another thing with the Switch 2 feature app that they showcased. With the Switch 2, I would love for them to incorporate the charming UI and aspects of the 3DS and Wii U, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like that's happening. The UI itself, they didn't go over it too much, but it seems very similar to the original Switch, which, for the function of playing games, works just fine. But man, come on Nintendo. You know how to make some of the most creative and wonderful games of all time. Why make the UI so boring? Bring back some of that charm. Show the Switch 2 some Street Pass love. But then, we get into the third-party announcements. The first one is Elden Ring is coming to Nintendo Switch 2. This is a major announcement right here, considering how Elden Ring is considered one of the greatest games of all time. It's one of the biggest third-party games that's released in the modern era, and seeing it come to Switch 2 is not surprising, but a good way to start off confidence with third-party support for the Switch 2. Daemon X Machina is getting a sequel. That was a little bit surprising because I thought the game flopped, but it turned out it was a bop apparently, so that's good. But the problem with this Nintendo Direct really started to show when they talked about the third-party games. It dragged on and on and on. It felt like I was watching a partner showcase throughout a lot of this Nintendo Direct, and for a partner showcase that's fine. But considering that the build-up for this Nintendo Direct was over 2 months, and the build-up for the Switch 2 itself, the pacing was just not good, and it just felt like forever when they were going through these third-party announcements. I totally get why they did it, considering that a lot of people would like Nintendo to have more third-party support, including myself. And the Nintendo Switch proved that Nintendo definitely is capable of having great third-party support. But the thing is, isn't that what a partner showcase is for? A Nintendo Direct is going to have a mix of third-party and first-party games, and recent Nintendo Directs have done a great job incorporating third-party games while also having those major first-party announcements. But it felt like it dragged on too much here. Moving on from the third-party announcements, I was not expecting to see Zelda outside of the Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But here we are with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. It's another game where Zelda is the protagonist. Gotta say, I haven't played the Hyrule Warriors games, but it looks pretty cool. And seeing the game star Zelda as of recent gives me just a little bit of hope we're gonna get a remake of Wand Gamelon and Zelda's Adventure eventually. A rabbit can still dream, can't he? But regardless, still looks quality. Definitely not what I was expecting, but hey, Tears of the Kingdom just came out. They're gonna need more time to make a full-on Zelda game. We just got a 2D Zelda game. So seeing any Zelda at all beyond just Switch 2 editions, that was a nice surprise. Now the next announcement... I don't usually do live reactions on the channel, because I like to watch the Nintendo Direct and let my thoughts ferment, just live in the moment. But I was in my chair and I literally jumped out of it when this was announced. GameCube is coming to Nintendo Switch 2 Online! This is so exciting! The reason because of this is the GameCube has one of the best libraries of Nintendo games. F-Zero GX is coming back! Yes, I would have liked that remaster, but hey, that could mean that we'll finally get a new F-Zero game. It is just so amazing seeing GameCube. And I know a lot of the fans of the channel didn't grow up with the GameCube and haven't experienced these games. The prices were so sky high that it made these games inaccessible. But finally having them available, this is the first time GameCube games have ever been available on a virtual console or Nintendo Switch Online platform of any kind. This is great for so many reasons. New players will get to play them for the first time. Fans of Nintendo like myself that have been fans for years will get to play them on the go and have a convenient way to play them in HD. I mean, I had that with the retro handhelds, but you get the point. And that means the prices of GameCube games are likely going to go down. We got a pretty good lineup so far. I am worried about the drip feed still, so those retro handhelds definitely still have a purpose. But regardless, what an incredible announcement. This was really one of the only times I was excited for a Nintendo Switch Online announcement. And of course, it was in a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. We had two exciting announcements, but then it was back to more third-party games. Now the thing is, I don't mind that, but they literally repeated the same thing that they did with the first part, where they showcase third-party games and have the developers talk about them. It makes sense to have highlights or a sizzle reel, but doing it again, it made this Direct go on even more. The pacing of this Nintendo Direct was such a huge issue, but the cherry on the sundae of pacing issues was technical issues, because the stream literally broke. I couldn't believe it myself. This is not the Nintendo Direct to have technical issues for. Fortunately, it was still during one of those third-party things that went on too long, so it didn't impact any first-party announcements or any major third-party, but still, this was not a good thing. So far, at this point, the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct was almost an hour in, which meant that the Nintendo Direct was about to come to a close. I gotta be real with you, I was starting to get worried considering the pacing and technical issues of this Nintendo Direct. I was concerned that they wouldn't have much more to show. They've had Nintendo Directs like that before, which have issues with the pacing. E3 2018 was a perfect example of that. They literally went on and on about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and you could apply a very similar logic to just how much they talked about these third-party games. The issue isn't the third-party games, it was just the pacing of it. And considering what this Nintendo Direct is, the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, the first one showcasing a brand new system, it did leave some concerns, and at the end of the day, it did make this Nintendo Direct not as good as it could have been. But fortunately, it did have a very nice ending. We found out that Masahiro Sakurai's next project is not Super Smash Bros. Related. Instead, he's doing a sequel to Kirby Air Ride. This is very exciting news. Seeing Sakurai work on a game that's not Smash for the first time since Kid Icarus Uprising, so exciting. And seeing it be a sequel to one of the most underrated Kirby games and a GameCube classic, that was very exciting to see. I was not expecting it considering that it's a racing game and so is Mario Kart World, but regardless, what a nice surprise. As the time's going by and time's running out, this Nintendo Direct almost came to a conclusion, so they had room for one final announcement. Now, what is it going to be? Are they going to reveal the next 3D Mario game? Could it be Animal Crossing? What could showcase the Nintendo Switch 2 and close the Direct and be the grand finale for it? Well, it seems that Mario Kart is not the only series that broke the curse of the 2014 gap. Donkey Kong is finally back! And oh my goodness, we didn't get a 3D Mario game, but honestly, this is the first time and probably only time you're ever going to hear me say this. I don't mind, because we're getting a 3D Donkey Kong game. This game is Donkey Kong Bananza. I've only seen the trailer once so far. This is a full-on reboot for Donkey Kong, and it marks a new era for the series. They went all in with the redesign. This is a brand new world for Donkey Kong, and I just gotta say, it looks drastically different from what you'd expect from Donkey Kong. A lot of people might think that it's not a good thing. They were expecting something more in line with Rare, but really, seeing a 3D Donkey Kong game and seeing it be this different, I am still so excited for it. It has been so long since the last Donkey Kong game, and even longer since the last 3D Donkey Kong game. For my full thoughts on it, I'm definitely going to do a full-on video. There's a lot to say about it, but I only saw the trailer once, like I said before. But if I'm going to compare it to anything, it does give me Donkey Kong Jungle Beat vibes. For 3D Mario, I definitely expect a 3D Mario game at some point. But you know what? Having the first 3D game, 3D platformer on Switch 2, be Donkey Kong Bananza, this is a great thing. Donkey Kong needs to be in the spotlight again. And what a way to close a Nintendo Direct and get the attention on the Kong himself. 3D Mario is always going to do well. But considering how long it's been without a Donkey Kong game, and how the series hasn't been in the spotlight for a very long time, this was the right thing to do. And I couldn't be more excited. So there you have it. What'd you think? What you just saw is the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Some of the announcements were games that I've wanted for the longest time. In fact, Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bananza are the two most anticipated and most wanted games I've ever had beyond Super Mario Odyssey when that released. I've wanted a new Mario Kart and a new Donkey Kong, especially a 3D Donkey Kong, for the longest time. And it's great seeing that 2014 curse broken. New Mario Kart, new Tomodachi Life, new Donkey Kong. The curse is finally over. There were other announcements that were really cool too. Kirby Air Ride getting a sequel, Kirby Air Riders, I'm sure Riders DX is gonna love that title. That was really cool to see. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, another cool game. But really, I was expecting more first-party announcements, especially considering the anticipation and just how long it's been since the Nintendo Switch release. If we look at the original Nintendo Switch presentation, we got Super Mario Odyssey, 1-2 Switch, ARMS, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Splatoon 2, Breath of the Wild, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So that was a little bit higher of an output of games, and I think if this Direct had one or two more first-party announcements, something like Animal Crossing, it would have been amazing. Probably one of the best Nintendo Directs of all time. But due to the pacing issues of this Nintendo Direct, I won't even account for technical issues since they weren't even planned, it just made it feel a little underwhelming. I did want to bring up the release date. The release date is going to be June 5th, 2025, so roughly 2 months out. That's less of a wait from when the Switch 2 was revealed to this Nintendo Direct, which is crazy. But yeah, if this Nintendo Direct had more first-party announcements, easily would have been a 10 out of 10. If it weren't for Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, this would have not been a good Nintendo Direct. But because of Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza especially, this Nintendo Direct gets the overall rating of a 7 out of 10. Really, it just comes down to the pacing issues of it, and I would have liked to see more first-party announcements. But regardless, this is a very exciting era for Nintendo. But one final thing I want to throw out there, when you see a Nintendo Direct like this, you get an idea what the tone and direction is going to be for the rest of the console's life. For the Wii U, when that was revealed, it was pretty clear that that library was mostly going to be sequels to Wii games. For Nintendo Switch, it was clear that the library was going to consist of things like Wii U ports and new experiences that completely reinvented series. For Nintendo Switch 2, it's going to be like Nintendo Switch, where the new games completely reinvent series, but also I feel like the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be defined by Wii U ports, but rather things like third-party games, because we saw a lot of them here. And considering the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games, those are essentially going to be what Wii U ports were for the Nintendo Switch. And as long as they're not full priced, I can't say that's a bad thing. Funnily enough, after I said that, I was about to wrap up recording. But we now know the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be $450, and Mario Kart World is going to be $80. Just going to say it, the Nintendo Switch 2 being $450, higher than I'd want, but not that big of a deal. But $80 games could set a really bad precedent. I did a full rant talking about the price, but just saying it here, it's not a good thing. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and as always, keep calm and da-don.